It's the 1st of March today. We're moving on to a new conversation, new beginnings, new opportunities. Yes, 2 months of the year have already gone. In the next 9 months, going into the 10th, Christmas will be here. So if you're a business person, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're a worker, you're an employee, you see all those New Year's resolutions you talked about. 2 months have already gone. Let's make it count. Let's make it stick. Let's make it count for something. Let us not be here and then December will come and then we will not know what we have done. Let's make sure that the time counts for something. Today we're going to be talking about corporate leadership in turbulent times. Corporate leadership in turbulent times. Are we in turbulent times? Yes, we are. Things are changing all around us. Inflation is at an all-high. Businesses are struggling to make profits and people are being laid off and all of that in certain businesses. So yes, as an entrepreneur, you may be going through some turbulent times. And the changes across all of the world is also affecting us in our homes and our personal businesses. Supply lines are still affected as an aftermath of COVID and all of that. So how do you provide leadership to your team in these turbulent times? These and more are the conversations that we're going to be having here. We're also talking about the advancement of technology and its attendant setbacks and increased digital crime and all of that. Clearly, leadership becomes a key thing that we should consider in these times. We have a wonderful Ghanaian, I'm proud to say, who's going to be sharing these thoughts with us. He's a corporate leader. He's a strategy and leadership consultant. He's a mentor. He's an author. With in-depth knowledge and understanding and experience in diverse corporate operational environments and perspectives, including supply chain, manufacturing, oil and gas, etc. He's done all of these for over 20 years. He's also a distinguished veteran military leader and fellow of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, V.U.C.A. in Ghana. He's also a member of the Institute of Directors, Ghana. It's only here on Masterclass that I find out that there are so many of these professional groups in Ghana. It's free information for you. Everything we give you here on Masterclass is pro bono. Go and look for the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance. If you're a leader, you probably will get some experience with them that will help your work. He's an academic scholar with a practitioner in doctorate degree in business administration. He also has a master's degree in applied business research from the Swiss Business School in Switzerland. Is an alumnus of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and also of the University of Ghana, where he had his master's and first degrees respectively. He's a certified trainer of trainers and a specialist in occupational health and safety. His CV goes on and on and on. He's the kind of CV that when I grow up, I want to be like you. He's authored the book called V.U.C.A. World and the Future of Corporate Strategy and Leadership, which was published in 2020. My guest for this afternoon's show is Dr. Victor Abbey. Doc, you're welcome to Masterclass.
Thank you
Drum
very
roll
much.
for you. Wow, very impressive CV, Doc.
Oh,
I know you have a lot of content on your slides. So for those of you who like to take notes, Doc has obliged us some really beautiful slides, a lot of them. We will be streaming them live on Facebook. At some point, we'll get interactive so you can ask your questions or share comments or call into the show as well. But I will try to talk very little today so that you can download all the contents for us. And when we get interactive, we'll ask a few questions as well.
okay.
So, corporate leadership in turbulent times. What is all that about?
All right. Thank you, Yaw. And warm greetings to our viewers and audience out there. It's a beautiful day. As you rightly said, we are in times where each passing day, like the gazelle in the jungle somewhere, the survival depends on how fast you can run than the lion or competition. So, like the business, in the business world, I wake up every day to new challenges. The only way to survive is to run faster than the game, to be ahead of the game. The legendary Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, the only constant in life is change.
True.
And in as much as our brains, as humans, we have a certain habit of getting used to a status quo or getting used to a certain way of doing things. But change is imminent. And this day and age, what we have come to understand is that uncertainties are the only certain things that we have.
You know, as you're saying this, I said I won't talk about just one.
All right.
You know, I don't know who said this, but I watched it on one of those world forums.
Okay.
And this was a statement that was made.
Yes.
It said the only thing that is constant in history
Yes.
is that men never learn from history.
Exactly.
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, all right. So the uncertainties of life has become the only certainties we have, and so we have to, adapt to every situation, because regardless of whichever way we look at it, we will definitely have uncertainties with us. And this today's masterclass, I want to reiterate the point that since the onset of COVID-19, the turbulence, the disruptions in our operational environment has become more imminent, even though it has been there. The world, for close to about four decades, the world has been known as V.U.C.A world, where you have volatility, uncertainties, complexities, and ambiguity surrounding every activity we carry out. But the 2020 lockdown brought to the fore the criticality of the times, and leadership was put really under pressure. And that means that leadership is required. And I say leadership is the engine oil in the engine of every corporate entity. Without the oil, the engine will break down. The engine are the teams, processes, and the systems they have in place. But the oil in the engine is leadership. And leadership must take responsibility at all times to make sure they navigate the team very well. Now we are in turbulent times. We need to understand that there are things that have come to overwhelm all of us. But how do we surmount all those challenges? And that is what we're going to look at. But to just put it in the context of our discussion, I define leadership as the vested right in an individual to harness the capabilities of team members and build a symbiotic relationship among them to achieve a mission or vision of an organization or a corporate entity. I will repeat, a vested right. I'm being very careful with the word right, not to use authority, because in our jurisdiction, for example, a lot of people think if you are in leadership position, it's a matter of authority. So it's a matter of giving command, giving directions, and people must follow. But it's a right you have by virtue of your position to harness the capability of your team members and build that symbiotic relationship within the team so that they can work together in harmony to achieve the mission and vision of the organization. So in that context, I would say it is the key to the survivability and sustenance of the organization in these turbulent times. So let's look at, so if that is the case, that we are experiencing all manner of turbulence around us and it's becoming difficult for leaders to actually decipher the way forward easily, how then do leaders need to behave in a way to, promote good team spirit and forge ahead as a team or vis-a-vis the prosperity or the growth of the organization? Those are some of the things we'll look at. To really explore some of these things, I would say the first step is knowledge. We must seek knowledge. And happily, we are doing this masterclass today. Informative session. And in my book, I stated, and I quoted the former defense secretary of the U.S., who said that there are known knowns.
Colin Powell?
No. I remember as I go along. Say there are known knowns. There are known unknowns. There are unknown knowns. And there are unknown unknowns. So there are things we know. Others we know we don't know. Others we don't know that we know. And others we don't know that we don't know.
That's a terrible one.
Yes. So at every stage in life, we must keep an open mind to realize that, or to, embrace new knowledge. So beginning of sustainability of our businesses is constant pursuit of knowledge. And so this masterclass fits in very well. I commend you for that. So to explore today's...
Commend multimedia.
Okay. So to explore today's conversation deeper, we'll look at what is the nature or what has become, what is the current nature of the turbulence we are talking about. And then what are the implications for our businesses, and what structure do we require in our organizations, and what is leadership posturing, or what kind of leadership posturing do we require in moving forward? So by way of scope, that is what I'm going to focus on. So let's, I said earlier that close to 4 decades we have experienced turbulence, known basically as V.U.C.A, where volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity surrounded us. But today, that V.U.C.A has given birth to what we call the bunny, the bunny world. The bunny world means a world where everything is brittle, is giving rise to anxiety. Occurrences are non-linear. It is not
tomorrow, earthquake,
this, that, and incomprehensible. That is the world we find ourselves in now. So, yes, I wrote a book on V.U.C.A world and the future of corporate strategy and leadership. But now, V.U.C.A has given birth to what is known as the bunny. Let's look at what bunny really relates to. In the abbreviation, in the acronym bunny, I mentioned that brittle represents B. The B is brittle. And it has to do with the fact that the occurrences are illusory strength. They have illusory strength. They appear okay. So, for example, in pursuit of a strategy, it's working. But undercurrent, there are gaps. If we are not critical and careful and watch and continuously monitor the space, it can crash. Your strategy can crash at no time because the occurrences around you, the global space, things are changing rapidly. So it gives rise to the fact that you may think on the surface your strategy is working, but beneath there are issues. So let's get to the corporate environment where your overheads are loaded, but your performance on the face of it is good. And you really don't care about the overheads. One day or in no time, your business may crash.
Will swallow all the performance.
Will swallow all the performance. So that is the kind of brittle situation we are talking about. It's non-resilient. So what your performance cannot stand the test of time.
Yeah.
So with time it will go off. And then it will shatter suddenly. And so what was thought to be a high-performing team can just suddenly go off. So that's the kind of environment we're talking about. Then we anxious, so at any point in time, you are thinking about what are the right choices to make. Is this the right choice, or are we going to get the right? So there's anxiety at all times. And so in the current environment in Ghana, for example, where the forex rate is not stable. So you take a decision today, you are not too sure whether the next moment or the next morning things are going to be the same or they will change. So that anxiety is in you.
And that leads to poor quality decision making.
Exactly. And you become a little bit, or most leaders or organizations become a little bit passive. They say, let's wait and see what happens. So the more you wait and see, the more your operations too are delaying and all that. So that's and then issues bordering on media space. The things that media reports can also create anxiety among people.
True.
Because said there's a supply chain blockade from Ukraine to the rest of the world. Companies that rely on supply of components from abroad, definitely they will become anxious. How will production go on and all that? So leaders become so anxious, organizations become so anxious and all that.
And the anxiety, maybe I could just add that it's even further fueled by speculations.
And you see, the global media space also has operated for long in sensationalism. So who is quick to report on issues without some media houses digging deeper? So they report something and corporate entities pick it up and feel that is the fact and take based on that
reference point key
decisions. And those key decisions may end up, wrongly. And so these are things that leaders must be conscious of. And so the incomprehensible is that there are so many things happening at the same time. So for that matter, you are not able to kind of pin or put your finger on exactly what's the cause and effect.
Exactly.
You cannot, because you attribute the cause to one thing. The next moment
It's
it
something
emerges
else.
that it's something else. So it's so incomprehensible.
Occurrences do not follow any
Pattern. There's no, laid out pattern that this is caused when this happens. This will be the effect.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. That's the kind of world, the turbulence we are in.
Yeah.
So with that, what it means for industry or the businesses is that you need to kind of prepare your staff. It's not only leaders. Staff must be prepared, must be positioned in a way that they understand the trends, they understand the current occurrences, they think differently, they begin to do things differently from the way they have been doing. So that also means a change in culture, organizational culture as well. You cannot do the same thing the same way and expect a different result.
I love that saying so much.
Yes, you cannot.
But it's just common sense.
It's just common sense. But the some organizational cultures are so fixated, regimented, so they stick to that, and that is it. Nothing changes. But like I said, change is the only constant thing in life.
Exactly.
At any point in time, you need to succumb to change and find new ways of doing things. So the implication, again, has to do with that. We need to strengthen work teams. You cannot work in silos in these times because the input from one team to the other makes a difference, a big difference.
Exactly.
So if you work in silos, you end up, you can crash easily. Because like I said,
you come out with end results which are obsolete.
By the time, the next moment, that solution that was celebrated will become useless.
Because for example, you're ordering network cables for a department as a CEO. The lead time for the order is what? 3-4 months for the cables to arrive. By the time it arrives, wireless has come in. You've wasted money.
Exactly. So it's time to work in teams. So when teams work together in the company, it gives different perspective. Diverse perspectives will be brought to the fore. Everybody will begin to understand that, okay, this is your idea, but have you thought about this? But when you work in silos, you think that is all the solution.
And how does your idea or your object or your project affect what I'm thinking of doing?
Exactly. So the teams at the workplace cannot afford in these times to work in isolation. They must work together. And that is why I would say from finance, operations, to marketing, to HR, to everywhere, you must understand each other's job or responsibility in such a way that where do I fit in?
Exactly.
So various teams will ask the question, where do I fit in, or where do we fit in? So again, the times also calls for empathy, or if you like, emotional intelligence, because as anxieties rise, people become anxious for the occurrences, and they are not too sure what is going to happen next and all that. You need to understand the feelings. You need to empathize with people. You need to recognize people's strengths and weaknesses and build on those weaknesses, and then strengthen whatever they are good at as well. So empathy is also key, or emotional intelligence. And you need to train, definitely. So the implication for business is training. You need to upskill people. You need to reskill. You need to develop soft skills for people as well, which is very important, because the times do not require authoritarian approach, because rigid plans are not appropriate for the times we are in. They may not work, because even flexible plans are failing. How much more rigid plans? So it calls for continuous revisit to your plan, or reviewing your plan constantly. And then also, you also need to be transparent. In this time, there's nothing like hiding information, because you may be privy to something that will negate your strategy the next moment.
Exactly.
If you don't voice it out, or you are not transparent, you are not clear, you are not open to your team members, and they think that this is the right thing they are doing, it will crash. you may not survive because the times are moving so fast. And accurate account of current circumstances must be gotten before that communication is done. You don't hear something without verification. You don't confirm from the right sources and then you roll it out as the fact. What is the credibility of that information? Because it may cause a very enormous change to your plan if you don't confirm or the accuracy of the information you have and all that. Then again, I would say within all this turbulence that we are experiencing or we are in, there's an opportunity, like I said earlier, for HR and learning and development managers to actually examine the space and identify the right training for the right people. And that means that constant training and appropriate training, what we call just-in-time learning. Just-in-time learning is very critical for these times because the knowledge you have is rendered obsolete in no time, as we said from beginning. So if HR do not upgrade or HR teams do not upgrade the workforce, they become a bit unuseful or not
obsolete, actually.
Obsolete, just to use the word obsolete. So we need to also engage people. We need to engage your work teams. Identify the right people with the right skills and develop those skills. Harness them. Remember, I said the leadership here is your right to, identify and harness the capability of your team members and build a symbiotic relationship.
Was it Alvin Toffler who said that the illiterates of the 21st century will no longer be those who cannot read nor write, but those who cannot learn and relearn?
So that is it. So you cannot say what you have read in school or what you have been taught or what you have practiced over the years is what pertains. No, or is what must be applied.
This is what they taught me in school.
Yes, it cannot
15 years ago.
So this is how we have done it over the period. The times have changed.
You are too known, these young children.
I will also talk about something. The generational differences at the workplace today requires different approaches they have different work ethics and approaches to work. The older generations need to understand that the younger generations have a certain ease with which they work. And so regimented approach to work renders them unable to...
They feel stifled.
To function. So we need to appreciate that they are savvy, they are very good at technology. Looking out for information, fishing for information, it comes to them easy. So how do we utilize that capability at the workplace to promote, the progress of the organization or sustainability of the business? That's also key. Right. So that's also... Then we need to be flexible in our mindsets, and we need to also understand that the status quo is something we need to look at. We cannot stick to the status quo. And we need to cultivate a very robust and constant awareness regime of the situation, and also focus on areas where, in as much as there is incessant challenges that we experience, we need to build a robust awareness, team in place that they are constantly monitoring the space and updating management. Meetings should not be held just for the sake of it, but meetings should be held because they are relevant to have.
As you say that, yesterday I read someone when I was preparing for the show. I've forgotten who it was who said it, but it said anybody who enjoys meetings for the sake of meetings should not be in any leadership position.
Exactly.
I'm sure we can talk about that later.
Because you go for meetings and it's all about routine discussions, and those meetings, every meeting must result in something.
Action points.
Actionable points, but not just for updating, and that's it. What is the relevance of that? So time is of essence in these times or in this turbulent period.
Ever more so than before.
Ever more so than before. So we need to utilize the times very well. Now let's quickly go on to the leadership, the kind of leadership that we require. From the presentation so far, you realize that leadership within the organizational space must be flexible, must be adaptable, must be emotionally intelligent, must have a very efficient way of communicating, and must also focus on critical thinking, must think critically, and be creative or promote creativity at the workplace as well, and also be transparent and build a lot of cooperation and collaboration. You see, the times require collaboration across. Because your knowledge is rendered obsolete in no time, you need to collaborate across. Even if it means collaborating with competition.
Competition, yes.
It's very important because you may build synergy and be able to, go through whatever challenges that you're going through.
And get more return for your effort.
More returns for your effort as well. So this is a kind of requirement. But above all, I say leaders must build trust. And how do they build trust? We must understand that our knowledge, as in which hinges on credibility, plus our reliability. Do we keep our words? And how intimate we are? Do we understand the emotions of our team? Do we understand how they feel? If we understand this, divided by our own self-orientation, is it all about us? Build that trust for us. So these are things that we need to know. Then organizational structure. You see, leadership, the kind of leadership we are describing requires that we build a structure that borders, that is able to respond effectively to the times. And this is what I call ambidextrous structure. And by that, I mean you have a structure that is exploitative and explorative. So by exploitative, I mean you can keep your regimented approach where you have your action-based accountability issues and efficiency through routine practices and all that. And so things are centralized, but you still give room for decentralization so that people can take initiatives, people can be creative, people can respond quickly to things. So you kind of promote culture of radical change in some of the aspects of your work and all that, because ambidextrous structures allow you to still maintain rules or rule and command structure where discipline will prevail, but you still give room for innovation, creativity, because the time requires some swift responses.
Which is a fine blend. So we have a lot more to share. We will continue to share that, but we want our listeners to be a part of this conversation. Right. So we'll take a quick message from our sponsors. When we come back, we get interactive straight away.
30 minutes, the game begins. And you know, say, I always do on the safe side. That be why I always win when I bet. But for me, I'm bold and my courage allows me to go in for the underdogs. Watch out, Charlie, you guys do. I'm always skeptical about these games, so I don't rush, but go in for a draw. Game on. With Soccer Bet, get the best odds and stand a chance to win up to 1 million Ghana cedis. Soccer Bet, you'll be betting. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. Gaming company. 18 years.
Business Development Program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook, 9.7 FM, or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy997 FM, Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 6541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 05511997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your superstation Joy 99.7. We're here in the studio with Dr. Victor Abbey, and we're talking about corporate leadership in turbulent times. These are turbulent times. These are not normal days. How are you handling the leadership of your company, of your institution, wherever you are, of your business? How are you handling it? Let's have a conversation this afternoon here on Masterclass. Pick up that phone and give us a call. Phone lines are now open on 0302 216-541. That's 0302-216-541. We want to hear your thoughts. Life is too short to make all the mistakes ourselves. Let's learn from each other's experiences and mistakes and victories as well. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. You can also send us your comments on 055-1111-997. That's 055-1111-997. Otherwise, you can call us on 0302-216-541. If you're driving, please do not text while you drive because we want you to arrive alive. But talk to us. Let's get interactive. If you drive a motor vehicle of any kind, GOIL has some wonderful news for you this afternoon. Your oil marketing company of choice, GOIL, keeps making life ever so convenient. GOIL now accepts Momo for all fuel purchases. Just remember to Momo it at GOIL. And that is not all. You can also use your bank card at all fuel stations to buy fuel. Visit our GOIL social media platforms on Facebook. GOIL, Good Energy. GOIL, Yenara. Today's edition of Masterclass is brought to us by GOIL. GOIL, Good Energy. GOIL, Yenara. Their phone lines are open. 0302-216-541. We're talking about corporate leadership in turbulent times with Dr. Victor Abbey. Doc, we're talking about the organizational structure.
Yep.
Let's continue to download that content until we have our first caller.
All right.
Yes.
So I was talking about a structure that is ambidextrous in nature.
You can do multiple things.
Multiple things. So you maintain your routine or centralized structure or system, but at the same time decentralize in order to promote creativity, innovation among your staff. What it does is that it even empowers your staff to provide answers to certain challenges that may come your way. So certain challenges to operations, they are quick to find solutions to those challenges, and you don't really need to consult externally. So expenditure on external consultants may be saved. That will work to your advantage.
I think it was Martin Luther King who said that a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. And I think that probably explains the point.
Exactly. So we need to begin to empower our employees. Permit me briefly to go back to my military background to say that the military practices what they call the mission command approach to leadership, where the followers are told what to do and why they should do it. But the how is left for them to decipher. It is because in the face of difficulty
challenges
or adversity, the leader may not be there to indicate this is the right action to take. So they allow decentralization at that level, so that when you face challenges, you should be able to take initiative in responding effectively to it. So if leaders begin to understand that the times require flexibility and empowerment of staff, it will result in what is generally described as a learning environment. So you provide a learning environment for your organization where people make very pardonable mistakes, because definitely if you don't take initiative, you may not know how best it works or not. You must give some tolerance level for mistakes, and so that they
get
learn
a hands-on experience
to develop, so that people develop and they feel empowered and all that, and they become change agents. They themselves will see that there's a need to move away from certain things, and that will work best to your advantage. So by way of, to round it up all, I would say in situation that we find ourselves in, it is not about surviving. Surviving is not, or survival is not enough. Leaders must understand that you need to play to win. In the face of adversity, it's not about survival. It must be about playing to win. And also, the times of turbulence, you must be flexible, and we must understand that esprit de corps is very critical to the survival of our organizations or our businesses. That is key. But without, stopping short of, critically spelling out or specifically spelling out some things, you can look at 10 leadership skills for effective leaders in this time. So the first one has to do with communicate and connect effectively. And we need to also inspire confidence. That's where trust comes in. And we need to also demonstrate high emotional intelligence. We need to build trust. We need to promote healthy failures. Let people take the initiative.
Allow people to make mistakes.
To make mistakes, and they learn from it. Even though resources are scarce to come by, we need to give room for certain failures in order to
And the reason
survive.
is not that they should waste it.
No.
But that if you don't allow them to make mistakes, the day they will make a mistake, they will make one that takes you down completely. I
Exactly.
think I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Mark. I'm calling from Latavia.
Good afternoon, Mark. How's Latavia Koshi this afternoon?
Wait, say that again, please.
How's Latavia Koshi this afternoon, Mark?
Very hard.
Okay. Talk to us, Mark.
Wait. Give us a second.
Oh, dear. I think we lost Mark there. I really wanted to hear what you had to say, Mark. If you can give us a call back, phone lines are still open. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. Or you can send us your comments on 055-11-11997. If Mark can call us back, we'll be grateful. So I think, there's this point that you just talked about, esprit de corps. And Sam Walton had something to say about that. He says that outstanding leaders go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish.
Exactly. Because if people begin to feel connected, belonged, they contribute to solutions. But if you make them feel
like they own it as well.
They own it as well. So they find themselves, they feel they are part and parcel of the process to finding solution to every challenge that comes across. But if it's all about you, they will leave it for you to solve, and you will not be everywhere. And they will play by the rules and say, these are the procedures put in place. We are following it. So rigidity sets in. And that will best fit in a fixed mindset, or fixed mindsets my framework, where it's like, this is how we are told to do it, and so we're going to do it that way. But if you allow them to feel belong, they kind of develop a growth mindset. So they always look out for ways and means to let things work out, and that is the best approach to it. So yes, leadership.
You're talking about pardonable mistakes. What I wanted to say was that
healthy.
If you don't let them make healthy pardonable mistakes today, the day they will make a mistake, it will be unpardonable. It will take everybody out.
So like I said, so when those mistakes are made, people will learn lessons learned. So he said the past serves as the foundation for today, but today also serves as foundation for tomorrow. So you don't remain in the past, but you use the past as a stepping stone to determine your actions today and then what results you get tomorrow.
Someone said today is the tomorrow we spoke about yesterday.
Exactly.
I've got a few questions. Phone lines are still open. I can slip in just one more call. 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. You can send us your comments on 055-11-11997. Let me ask this question. If leadership is working through others, what do you say about leaders who get overly involved in the operational?
Okay.
They want to get in your head. They want to think for you.
So what it means is that those people do not understand really what leadership is about. One of the things that make people behave that way is because they believe leadership is about authority. So that authority must be felt at every stage of the operations. So their presence is what they see as exerting their authority. But if you understand leadership to mean coordinating the affairs of your team and harnessing the capabilities of your team, you don't really need to be everywhere. So
the point we are pushing today on Masterclass, if you remember nothing today, is that leadership, the reason why leadership is different from being in the mainframe is that if you can't even manage yourself, Taka Awori came to say this. Taka, good afternoon to you. Managing yourself is a lot of work. Now you manage yourself and manage others. How do you get others to get the job done? That's what the leadership is about. Exactly. So when you have asked people you have been giving people to lead, that's what you need to do. Get them to get the job done. If you can't do that, then you need more help along the way. And you said something. Leadership is not about authority.
It's about the rights.
It's about the rights and how to apply them.
Apply those rights. You see, In our part of the world, the reason most leaders think leadership is about authority is by virtue of qualification, they are placed at certain places, but not by virtue of their leadership capabilities, because we don't have intentional leadership training for most of our corporate leaders.
Let me ask a question that will tie in with what you're saying, and probably after that you can give us your final takeout for today. Do you think that in Ghana today, most of our leaders who become leaders by virtue of circumstance or work situation require actual proper leadership training?
Exactly so. In the globe, or in the entire world, or on the globe, leadership is about intentional training. You must acquire the capability intentionally. Competence is different from leadership skills. You may be competent in finance. That doesn't make you a leader of the finance team.
But our progression system this side of the world is by technical competence.
No, it is because in their practice of their corporate practice, they are taken through rudiments of leadership. So they understand that in as much as he's competent in this subject area, he must learn the rudiments of leadership. But ours is by virtue of experience, number of years on the job, and then what level of qualification he or she has, and then he's placed there. So for me, there must be intentional training. That's why in the Western world, they take people through at early stages of their life through some kind of leadership training with the military, for example, just to equip them with the discipline they require to survive in life and the corporate world as well. So it must be intentional. It's that until you give intentions to your dreams or your goals, your dreams will never become a reality. You must be intentional about everything you want to do. So that's what I'll say. But I must also say that we must also learn to deliver constructive feedback. More often than not, leaders criticize, but they don't offer it in a way that is constructive. So it demoralizes people, their staff. And they say, okay, I'm not going to do this the way I thought was right.
Criticize, offer alternatives.
Yes, offer alternatives.
Brilliant. What is our takeout for today? If we remember nothing from today's conversation, what should we remember?
Okay. What I will dole out to all of us is that leadership, one, is not about authority. It's about having that right or the nerve to coordinate the activities of your team. We must also understand that leadership is the oil in the engine of growth for our corporate organizations. We can have the engine which is made up of the human and material resources, but the leadership that is supposed to, lubricate the engine must be solid, must be up to date. We must be adaptable, we must be flexible, we must communicate rightly, we must have the right emotional intelligence in order to survive in the times. And then we must have a system, a structure that promotes innovation, that promotes creativity, and that is able to empower people to take initiatives as well. That is the only way to surmount all the challenges, because different perspectives work to better solutions. But singular or rigidity can only lead to distraction. That's all.
Right. Thank you so much. So much information.
But I must be quick to say there's an upcoming training on sustainable growth for executives. It's coming on 29th to 30th March this month. For those who are interested, it covers topics like leadership, cyber security issues in the face of the turbulence, because many organizations are resorting to digital space and all that, and then customer experience, security issues, and strategic security management issues.
Are there any numbers to call?
So the number to call for registration 050 1268
Okay, let's take it again.
050 1268 or info@tarragonedgelimited.com.
Thank you so much. That has been Dr. Victor Abbey here with us, talking to us about corporate leadership in turbulent times. Thank you so much for joining us for today's edition of Masterclass. God willing, next week we come your way with yet another exciting edition where we'll be talking about customer experience, ecosystem, and management with Dr. Birago Entry Eje. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you same time next week.